Habitat means home for all living things. The more natural and undisturbed, the better. Habitats range from wide open spaces to dense forests and all kinds of climates, from hot to cold and dry to humid. Birds are good examples of the different ways nature uses various kinds of wilderness and some not-so-wild places for survival. Our home in central Saskatchewan, Canada, is an area of small deciduous forests, grasslands, farm fields, and shallow marshes. Come with us as we discover where a wonderful variety of beautiful birds like to live and build their nests in this diversified landscape. Even before the snow melts away, a few birds will begin the nesting season. In March, a pair of horned owls have taken over a raven's old nest and are incubating eggs while cold winter winds blow through the leafless forest. During the first week of April, a hairy woodpecker is drilling out a nest cavity for his mate in a live aspen poplar tree, and an early bird ruffed grouse drums his mating intentions on a snow-covered log. While snow melt water restores woodland moisture levels, bird migration is in full flight. Every walk in the woods and fields is filled with fresh smells and sounds and is a new and exciting adventure. A decayed tree stump has provided a mixture of dormant insect larvae and grubs for hungry winter birds like downy and hairy woodpeckers and chickadees. A rotten log has been torn apart by birds and animals searching for insects, frogs, and mice. A moss-covered hollow log has provided shelter for small bush animals. Life in the forest depends on a continuous natural cycle of dying, decaying, and healthy regrowth. Another ruffed grouse has found a well-used drumming log just a few steps from our path. Further along, a little downy woodpecker is digging out a nesting cavity high up in a dead poplar tree, and the warm spring sun has awakened a hibernating butterfly. Forests and meadows are rapidly turning green, and every day, more summer birds arrive to find mates and establish nesting territories. A brightly colored male Northern Oriole is here a few days ahead of the female. A male yellow-bellied sapsucker woodpecker pecks out a little hole in a live poplar tree trunk as part of his courtship display. If a female considers his work good enough, they will mate and make their real nesting place in a dead tree somewhere else in the forest. In the poplar, willow, and tangled undergrowth woods, a female ruffed grouse has chosen to locate her nest at the base of a tree, and a mallard hen duck has used a similar place for her nest site. The orioles have mated and are gathering nesting material and carrying it to a well-concealed leaf-covered poplar branch. While the female does the nest building, her colorful mate accompanies her with loud calls and song. We will follow this oriole family activity to a successful ending. Not an easy task, since these are high nesters, up to the tops of 60-foot trees. An unusual oriole habit is that of calling out a loud whistle when leaving their nest. Although farm fields are poor places for nesting, a few determined birds manage to raise their families in these unnatural habitats. Killdeer eggs and young are so well matched to their surroundings that we nearly step on them. Marbled godwits like to nest in grain fields, not too far from a marsh or slough. Their large mottled brown eggs and young are also well camouflaged. Mallard and pintail ducks often locate their nests on straw-covered farmland. Horned larks begin incubating eggs and even feeding young while patches of snow still lay in the fields. Vesper sparrows can be found nesting in rows of new grain, along with other occasional farm field ground nesting birds. The orioles have completed their nest using mostly string, adding horsehair, and soft grass for lining. We watch the female enter her deep pouch-like nest to brood the newly hatched young. While incubating her eggs, the male brought insects for his mate and still continues to share food with her. Now the female oriole takes time to enjoy the bird ponds. Edges of forests and tree shelter belts are where many bird species like to nest from ground level to high trees. A white-throated sparrow has hidden her nest in thick grass bordering a small woodlot. We are able to photograph her as she arrives to incubate her eggs. Next, we find a song sparrow nest in a low bushy shrub. Another song sparrow is nesting on the ground in tall grass along a farm shelter belt of trees, and a chipping sparrow has nested in a low bush beside a fence line. Our next discovery is a ruby-throated hummingbird nest fastened to an overhanging branch about 8 feet above the ground. A second hummer has chosen to fasten her nest to a horizontal branch about 40 feet high. Eastern kingbirds nest anywhere from a few feet above the ground to the treetops, preferring the outside trees of forest clearings, windbreaks, and fence lines. These birds will nest in strange places, including eaves troughs. Bats are unobtrusive little animals with bird-like ways. We notice 3 hoary bats hanging upside down sleeping after a night of hunting insects. We know there is a cedar waxwing nest nearby and soon find it secluded in thickly leafed branches, not far from the sleeping bats. It is now summer, and the lush forest undergrowth is full of flowering wild fruit trees, providing an abundance of berries for fruit and seed-eating birds to live on through long, cold Canadian winters. We see high bush cranberry, dogwood, Saskatoon, chokecherry, and hawthorn blossoms. A wild rose is visited by a wild bee. Later, the nutritious rosehip will be food for grouse and other birds. A beautiful yellow lady slipper grows out of the damp, leaf mold-covered forest floor. Aspen forests are home habitat for large numbers of interesting birds. A Swainsons thrush scolds us as we move near their nest, often built on the ground and not easy to find. Carefully, we look into shaded undergrowth and see the hen thrush sitting on her nest of blue, slightly spotted eggs. She blends so well with the brown leaves and sits so still we nearly miss seeing her. Moving on, we discover a rose-breasted grosbeaks nest containing 3 blue-speckled eggs in a low, thick shrub. A little activity in a wild-growing lilac bush draws our attention to where a female yellow warbler is so busy assembling her nest that she completely ignores us. We watch her using short lengths of string slyly taken from an oriole nest under construction a short distance away. The Downy Woodpeckers also ignore us while feeding their young. And a friendly pair of least flycatchers are carrying small insects to their little ones in a nest secured between a branch and large tree trunk. We wonder what large item of food the male oriole has brought to his family. Whatever it is, the hungry young birds make short work of swallowing it. Waiting to see that all is well, the male leaves just as the female arrives to feed the young orioles reaching out of the nest. After she has checked and cleaned the nest, the male again brings food. Each parent makes sure their family is all right before leaving to search the woodland for more insects. Hayfields, meadows, and marshes are where we find many ground nesting birds, from little savanna sparrows to graceful low-flying marsh hawks. Marsh hawk eggs are laid in nests that take little effort to build. The oldest of the unevenly hatched young will be on the wing hunting for food, while the youngest is still near the nest site being fed by its parents. Savanna sparrows usually choose grass fields for their nesting places. Meadowlarks often construct a grass roof over their clutch of eggs. And short-eared owls lay their round white eggs in a nest similar to the marsh hawk. In an alfalfa field, we flush a clay-colored sparrow from her nest of blue spotted eggs. Soon both parents will be busy feeding hungry little birds. These sparrows also construct their hair or grass-lined nests in low shrubs and bushes. Pintail ducks are open country nesters, locating their nests in hayfields, grass fields, and marshland. Some members of the teal duck family also nest in the grassy edge of fields, meadows, and woodlands. Mallard ducks nest in open farm fields, hayfields, and grasslands, as well as forest habitat. Now and then, a pair of robins will build their nest on the ground, like this one at the base of a fence post containing half-grown birds. A few days later, we see the young clay-colored sparrows busy preening their feathers, preparing to leave the nest. Common crows build bulky stick and mud-lined nests in bushes and trees of various heights, where they lay their blotchy green eggs. These strongly built nests are often used by other birds. A long-eared owl has laid her eggs and raised a family in such a place. Barred owls sometimes use crow nests, as do horned owls and hawk owls. Protective forest undergrowth has helped the Swainsons thrushes to successfully raise their family. While watching the adults bringing insects to their well-camouflaged nestlings, our attention is drawn to a pair of yellow-bellied sapsucker woodpeckers nesting in the same area. One of the thrushes brings more food. A day later, the young thrushes have left their hatching place, and with worried actions and calls, the parents let us know we are near one of the hiding fledglings. The forest beckons us to find more of its fascinating bird life. Experience has taught us the best places to look. A mourning dove's slightly built nest and 2 eggs are situated in a tangle of dead trees. A gray catbird is feeding young located in the same kind of bush cover. Moving on, we see high above our heads, a wood peewee has fastened her nest on the fork of a poplar tree. The adults become worried as we take a closer look at their family through our camera lens. From several favorite perches, adult peewees are capturing flying insects for the young birds anxious to leave their crowded home. Many forest-dwelling birds rely on the beautiful flicker woodpeckers' hollowed-out nest chambers for their own nesting places. The little boreal owls hide so well that we are nearly face-to-face with one before seeing it. And the even smaller robin-sized northern saw-whet owls use these hollow trees for nesting. An American kestrel sits on her whitish spotted eggs in a flicker-hollowed tree. The down-covered chicks soon grow and fill their small home. Robin nests are often located right beside our forest trails. We notice small birds flying in and out of a thicket and move closer to watch a pair of red-eyed vireos feeding their nestlings. When walking by the Downy Woodpecker nest tree, we see young woodpeckers coming to the nest entrance for food. A black-capped chickadee sits at the opening of its hollowed-out nesting place. Many house wrens are nesting in both hollow trees and birdhouses. However, tree swallows prefer to use birdhouses. Orioles, like other birds, have special branches to land on when arriving with food. A large leaf has somehow moved over the nest opening. Could the parents have arranged this to help protect their young from bird-eating predators? All summer long, the bird ponds are refreshing meeting places for numerous birds, including flashy orioles. Our flower garden never fails to attract ruby-throated hummingbirds. These little gem-like birds alternate between the real nectar-filled blossoms and artificial feeders. Although hummers are able to tolerate and share feeders and flowers with wild bees, wasps and hornets often drive the little birds away. We stop to watch the yellow warblers feeding and caring for their young. Both female and bright yellow male make many trips with a multitude of different insects. When her family is temporarily well fed, the female takes time to shelter the tiny birds and preen herself. Our restless young orioles are ready to leave home, having grown so large they are now being fed from the nest top instead of the side entrance. One ambitious young bird climbs out and back, and then perches on the nest edge to survey his new surroundings. It is interesting to watch the female giving her fledglings a good inspection, even lifting each young bird's wings with her beak, looking for parasites that attack many young birds. Finally, with a brave short flight, the young northern oriole moves into nearby branches and eventually learns to look after itself. Young downy woodpeckers are following their parents and learning to find food. A regular stopping place on their travels is a feeder full of suet. For a few days, the adults pick pieces of suet for the young birds, who soon learn to come to these food supplies and feed themselves. In a few days, the young downies will leave their family group and go their separate ways. Eagles build large nests, which are used year after year. We were able to make friends with two young bald eagles whose nest tree had blown down in a strong windstorm. Their parents continued looking after them, bringing fish from a nearby lake. The young eagles and their parents realized we meant no harm and carried on their family lives as usual. Before long, the young birds found their wings and began hunting food for themselves. American goldfinches build their nests along the edges of forests, woodland clearings, and hedgerows from low bushes to high branches. We found one nest located beside a wild sunflower plant, as if thinking predators would confuse their yellow plumage with the yellow blossoms. Every year, we have the pleasure of finding a few of these friendly finch families. Summer is ending and preparation for winter begins. A female downy woodpecker has found a decayed branch to dig out one of several sleeping places used during the cold season. A short distance away, a male, perhaps her next year's mate, is pecking out his night roosting place. He also hollows out several such tree cavities. This is one way nature makes sure that predators have as little chance as possible to learn their prey's habits. Summer's green leaves have turned to autumn's red and gold. As we walk along the bush trails, we see ripened fruit of high bush cranberries, chokecherries, dried Saskatoon berries, dogwood fruit, and hawthorns. which along with various wild seeds and rose hips provide nourishment for winter birds. In the quiet of an autumn forest, ruffed grouse and other year-round birds find shelter, food, and protection. Winter forests also have interesting bird life. A large pileated woodpecker is searching for grubs and insect larvae hidden deep in the decayed wood of dead and dying trees. A little boreal owl silently watches us. And a ruffed grouse feeds on tree buds. The pileated woodpecker seems to enjoy a little playtime looking in and out of hollow trees, then moves to a stump which it easily hammers apart with its strong chisel-like beak. These big birds could not survive without large areas of old forest growth. Meadows, grass fields, marshes, and forest clearings are good hunting places for winter birds of prey. A great gray owl perches on a low branch, watching and listening for mice moving under the snow's surface. A straw bale is an ideal place for a snowy owl to eat a captured snowshoe hare. A large goshawk or Cooper's hawk has also caught a hare while hunting through the woods and fields. Back in the forest, we watch a small flock of pine grosbeaks feeding on different kinds of wild fruit. The males resemble Christmas decorations as they feed on frozen high-bush cranberries, and quiet female pine grosbeaks with soft brown and gray feathers enjoy a meal of frozen Saskatoon berries. These birds are also seed eaters, especially fond of ash tree seeds, leaving the snow beneath covered with empty seed hulls. Another pretty little seed-eating winter bird is the redpoll, with its red cap and red-washed plumage. Chickadees search tree branches and loose bark for wintering insects and insect eggs. Magpies are bold birds that come to feeders filled with suet, intended for smaller birds. Blue jays are hardy winter birds that survive on almost any kind of food and visit bird feeders at every opportunity. While leaving the forest, we notice a fresh hole in the snow. Taking a closer look, we see back and tail feathers of a ruffed grouse digging into deep insulating snow for protection on a cold, frosty day. And watch a little male downy woodpecker entering his winter sleeping quarters. We have followed the seasons with a few of our feathered friends. If the loss of forests and natural habitat continues, migration for many bird species could end forever.